So today I want to go over something really simple, and it's why your net worth probably won't explode after 100K. You heard me, it probably won't explode. I'll give you 4 reasons and I'll give you 2 solutions. I saved over $300,000 over the last few years, and I can safely say that my net worth did not all of a sudden just explode after 100K. And I know a lot of finance YouTubers like to make video topics about this exact thing, arguing that yes, your net worth does explode after 100K, but you and I both know that that's just a viral video idea that they use to talk about compound interest, which is what I actually want to address first. And that's the obvious thing, right? And it's the idea that compound interest does work. And so at the bare minimum, yes, you should take advantage of compound interest. You should be invested in the markets. You shouldn't just leave cash at the bank if you've got spare cash. So compound interest works. It just won't explode your wealth the way that some of these finance YouTubers describe it. And there are 4 reasons that I want to go over. Why? Now, the first reason your money probably won't explode is due to inflation. So I challenge you to find a finance YouTuber that talks about why your wealth will explode after 100K that factors in inflation when they are doing their calculations of how much money you're going to have in 30 years. The reality is, if we take a conservative estimate of 8%, right? If we invest our money in the S&P 500, if we account for an inflation rate of 3%, our real return will just be around 5%. And this, mind you, is if we are 100% in equities. And so we're just keeping up with inflation and then plus 5%. This 5% will not make you rich unless you have an amazing income. You're making $250,000, $300,000 a year. But most of us aren't like that, right? So that's the first reason why your money won't explode. And there are 3 more reasons, and these all work together against you. So the second reason why your money probably won't explode after 100K is because of taxes, okay? And so not just that, it's a progressive tax, okay? And a progressive tax is a tax we have in North America primarily, right? And the UK. Any developed country has a progressive tax system that says the more money you make, the higher percentage the government is going to take away, right? And so we split this understanding into average tax rate and marginal tax rate, okay? And so the average tax rate is just our tax divided by income, right? Like how much tax are we paying divided by our income? That's our average tax rate. Our marginal tax rate is going to be our additional income, right? Like if we make $1 more, right? Let's say, how much of this additional income is taxed, right? So how much tax? So for example, me being from Canada, and this example kind of works as long as you're from Canada, UK, America, or whatever. If I make $100,000, if that is my income, for every additional dollar that I make, so I'm gonna write delta $1, about 45 cents goes to the government. That's crazy. 45 cents, right? Of every additional dollar I make goes to the government. That's my marginal tax rate. And so it's so hard to just make more money, right? It's so hard to let our money just grow and compound. Now, there's one thing that we can do. We only pay taxes on our investments when we sell. And so the best way to prevent taxes is just to never sell our investments until we are in a lower income bracket because we're possibly making less money in the future, that's when we sell our investments and use some of that money to cover our living expenses. And so, what's interesting is if we're not taking advantage of our tax advantaged accounts, we get taxed twice, right? And so if we have a normal brokerage account, the money we put in, right? So let's pretend we have a brokerage account, right? So this is a brokerage account. We put money in to the brokerage account, and this is the money that we earn from work, right? After tax income. Okay. When we invest and we make money and we take money out, we're taxed again, right? Here there's a capital gains tax. So effectively we're taxed twice on a regular brokerage account, and there's no way around it unless you move to a different country. And so that's why it's so important to take advantage of tax advantaged accounts like 401ks, right? Roth IRAs. And if you're in Canada, this is going to be RRSP. This is going to be your TFSA, okay? Now, the problem with these is that we have to wait till 60 plus to take money out without penalties. These, we're good. We can take money out anytime tax-free. So take advantage of your brokerage accounts. That's the big tip here. But taxes, right? Even if you make more money because of our progressive tax rate, it's hard to build wealth. Third reason why your money won't explode after 100K is methodology. How did you save your first 100K? How did you get it? I don't know about you, but I saved my first 100K. And I saved my first 200K. And I saved my first 300K. So my income over this period probably went up around 50%. Grant you, this is after tax. And so, yes, I saved more money, but my wealth going from 100K to 300K wasn't because I made my first 100K. It was because my income going up was the reason why or how I saved $300,000 much faster. It wasn't because I saved $100,000 that I saved $300,000. It was simply because my income went up. That's the reason. And that's probably going to be your reason too. If you were investing, okay, like let's pretend you had 100K. If you were investing and you got a 7% return, so 7% return, and you wanted 200K, so going from 100K to 200K, it's going to take you 10 years. And I don't know about you, but to me, this isn't wealth exploding after 100K. It's still going to take 10 years. Now, it'll take quicker after you get 200K, right? But that's only assuming you invested everything, right? Your lifestyle is the same, which kind of brings me to my fourth point. The fourth reason your wealth won't explode is because of, and you probably guessed it, but there's something more. I'm going to write it. I'm going to write lifestyle inflation, and I'm going to get rid of the style. Life inflation. It just happens. Why? Because we get married. We get kids, right? Sometimes we want more education, right? Sometimes our parents are aging. Sometimes we have medical emergencies. These all come as we age. So our lives just get more expensive as we age, right? And then if we get kids, just think about all the additional costs of having kids, right? Aside from taking care of the kid, right? So care, I just write that. We also have to protect against the downside, right? What if something happens to us? Who's going to take care of the kid? Right, so now we need insurance. Okay? And so this is also a time when we might have a car, right? Even if it's a cheap car, it still costs money, right? We might need a bigger place to live, right? And so even without lifestyle, inflation gets expensive, right? And if we add in lifestyle inflation, it gets even worse, right? And that's why I'm also not a proponent of lifestyle inflation, because life already is expensive. And so what do we do about this? I was thinking to myself, there's no way I can save my way to financial freedom, retire early, and give the family the life I want them to have, right? And so I concluded that really the only way to wealth, well, there are really two paths, actually. but they all mean the same thing. And so I'm going to say the first path to wealth is increase income from work. Okay, like increase our earned income. How do we increase earned income? Well, the first thing is we have to be in the right industry and be the best. There are certain industries that just make more money, right? Banking makes more money, right? Law makes more money, but there are sacrifices that come with being in those industries. And then if you're the best in those industries, actually, if you're the best in really most industries, you're gonna make money, right? I can be the best teacher and then get promoted and be a vice principal, head of school, and I can very well make 300K a year. Let's pretend you play it out and then everything works out in 10 years and you're at the highest position that you can be at. It's going to be a totally different job than the one you have now, if there is any kind of progression. Now, what's worse is if you're playing it out 10 years and you're making around the same. So that's a scary situation, to me at least. Just because it means I'm on a linear path to reaching my goals. And it's going to take one heck of a long time. I probably won't even get to my goals. And so this is my situation. Right? If I'm in education, me landing this 300K a year job at one of the best schools in the world, it's unlikely. And I don't know if I want the job either. Right? And so, yes, we should automate our finances, automate our investments. We should keep our spending low enough, right? Living below our means. We should do all of that. But unless we're going to land a 300K a year job, we're probably not going to retire really, really, really rich, right? And don't get me wrong, we can be financially independent, right? And sometimes that's all people want, right? We're thinking about the minimum, right, that we need to live on, and we save towards that. And I think we should save towards that nest egg, right? That's the bare minimum. But if we want to change our families' lives and change our own lives, then we can't be stuck at the same place or around the same place a decade later, right? So the path that I'm walking is the second path to wealth, and this is business. And so the interesting thing is that businesses are taxed less because businesses create jobs. And an online business allows location freedom. And in a place like Hong Kong, tax is 15% flat, and capital gain tax, right, from our stock investments, zero. Just does not exist, right? And other places, right, like Dubai, no tax, right? And so there's freedom in online business, in my opinion. This is the logical next step for me because my finances are pretty much automated, right? So this is not the first step. The first step is save money and invest towards financial independence when you retire at 60. That's kind of the first goal. But if you're meeting this requirement, the second goal is either increase earned income by a lot or online business. To me, that's the next logical step, right? And so this is what I'm building right now. But if you can't figure out how to do this, then you shouldn't even talk about this or consider this. You need to figure out what your financial philosophy is. You need to figure out how to automate your spending, how to automate your investments, how to spend less than you make, how to earn more at your job, how to save time at work so you can focus on other things that are important in the long term. And so, like, get this together first before you ever think about something like this.